Hello everyone, I hope you hear me well. I cannot be with you today because I'm on vacation, so I made this video and I hope that it explains everything there is to know about the idea. In any case, here you have my email and my Twitter account, and if you have some doubts or some questions, just don't hesitate and drop me a line. About me. Well, I work for Ericsson Research in Kirkkonummi, Jorpas. I've been working there for several years already. I think it's four already. Yeah. At the moment, I'm working on sensor technologies and how they should interact with the internet as we know it nowadays. We call it Internet of Things. And well, while working on this, I realized that there was a small idea, which is this one, that could be has potential of becoming a startup or being developed, and I thought that I would like to share it with you. The idea is named Connect and Play Monitoring System. So, what is this idea about? Well, let's start with the problem. At the moment, people take vacations and they, like me, and they leave their homes alone, or they have a boat, or they have a car, and they would like to monitor it periodically, not necessarily all the time, but just sometimes. In Finland, for instance, it's common to have the cottage and the boat. Well, it's relatively common, not for everybody, of course. In the south of Europe, it's common to have maybe a house in the mountains or in the beach, a second home. But the thing is that at the moment you already have solutions for monitoring these places. If you want to have an alarm system to make sure that there is no burglary, or that if there is a fire you get an alarm and so on, that already exists. However, this is like, in my opinion, that's a bit of a high-end solution. Why? Because in most of these cases you have to hire a company, well, first of all, contact them, call them and so on, make the contract, get monthly installments, pay every month for several years, and of course before all that they have to make an installation in your home. Often it implies putting on around many cables, and at the end the service they provide is an alarm or an alert system and calling the police. Often they also have their own security, but at least in the south they use the public services like police or firemen. So I was thinking, damn, this could be, we could probably find a way to make this a bit low cost or for the low end, for people like me that don't want to spend a lot of money and that don't need a security system on an everyday basis, but just when we're not at home. So how would it work? It's composed of two parts. On the right side, you have these sensors that now they look these kind of cute, fluffy, toy-like figures, but it could have any kind of casing, of course. That's just the outside. And inside, they have a whole system with accelerometer or temperature sensor, maybe even a webcam. And they're battery powered, but the battery is not a problem. Usually in these sensor technologies, battery tends to be a problem because the battery has to last for years. But for us, if it lasts for a month or two, that's more than enough. And besides, we don't need the sensors to be connected all the time. The sensors would act just as triggers for the whole system to wake up and then do whatever and then go to sleep. Anyway, I'll explain more about that later. That on the sensor side. What's about the other side, the one you have on the left of the screen? There you could have an Android application or maybe an HTML5 website or an iOS application that basically interacts with the sensors as a display just to get alerts whenever you are. So this is basically the high level view, a simple thing like this. There's something happens and then you get an alert in the phone. Let's see, for instance, with a scenario, how would it work? Basically, you would grab a sensor, place it behind a door, on a carpet, in some place that might be subject to mobility, maybe next to a window, or if it is a temperature sensor, maybe you want to leave it near the kitchen in case there is some problem with the stove, and so on. So just put it there and leave, and go on vacation, go for a beer, do whatever. The moment there is a vibration and the sensor is moved, maybe because someone is stepping on the carpet, maybe because someone is opening the door, or maybe because there is a fire actually and the temperature sensor detects it, you get an alert immediately, and you could be able to interact with your phone and see the webcam, what's going on, or do yourself calling the police, or maybe you can enable the phone automatically with the software in the phone to send an alert to the police if they have an SMS service or a web service. The main thing is to be able to monitor that something's happening. This all sounds simple enough, but which are the underlying technologies? Okay, so we have again these two parts. On the right side, the local area, on the left side, the wide area. So for the local area, for the sensors. The sensors have been traditionally built on developing platforms that are open source, like Arduino. Arduino is at least the one we are using in our laboratory. We have several devices, we know how to work with them, and so far they have given good results, so I would personally recommend that one. Then about the networking protocols, for instance, in our case, these sensors, they will be connected directly, either directly to the internet with a SIM card, and GSM for instance, or connected to an access point, which could be Wi-Fi enabled or Zigbee enabled. These are the two main networking protocols used for sensors. Nowadays, this year actually, for Arduino, there has been some developments, and you can have a Wi-Fi module that you can use for this platform and connect to normal traditional Wi-Fi. Everybody has a Wi-Fi router at home, so this implies that you don't need to get extra hardware apart from the sensors. And I think that's an advantage that should not be underestimated, because we want people to use this. We just don't not just make the technology, we want people to use this. Okay, and that's on the sensor side. Those are the main platforms. I would say that Arduino and Wi-Fi are probably the most convenient ones to work with. On the wide area side, then here we have several options as well. We could have the client directly connect to the access point, to the router at home. So basically you connect with your mobile phone directly to the router at home and see the sensor information. That's one option. Or you could have a server somewhere. For instance, you could use some cloud service like Amazon Web Services or OpenStack. But then OpenStack, you need, then that will be part of the service that the company ideally the company would provide to the customer. If not, basically yes, a server that will be storing the sensor information and sending the alerts to the client. And on the client side, like I said, you could have Android, iOS, or HTML5, for instance, as an example. The advantages. So for the customer, it provides this low-end monitoring system that is also plug and play. You don't need hiring a company with permanent contract. You don't need installation. And for people who cannot afford these systems anyways, the one we are providing, it should be very cheap. More importantly, it's very versatile and extendable. At the moment, if you see this, once you have this technology working, what you have is the building blocks for a monitoring system. But why not a game? Why not? You could play new kinds of games with your friends. You could create a new kind of entertainment system. You could share this information with other people. I mean, it could be very interesting to build on top of this. Being low end is relatively cheap to make compared with the other security system. At maximum, the developing platform, the sensor, would cost around 100 euros, but once you have it in production, it should be much cheaper, 10 times cheaper easily. So, what is in there for you? Well, I think that for you this could be a very fun project to be part of. The technologies are very new. They are definitely going to be there in the following years. I mean, you will hear more about this Internet of Things, more about these sensor technologies in home, more about smart environments. You will hear more and more about this over the next 10, 20 years. Then the platforms that I'm talking about are very well known. There are many of them are open source. They are kind of relatively easy. You don't have to start from scratch. There are several libraries. There are several developing environments that you can use. Also, you can ask us. You can ask me, because I've been working on this, and I will really participate on this project. I'm really interested on it. Of course, I mean, this won't be this kind of command and control kind of thing. You'll have absolute freedom to choose how the project will be. These are just the general ideas, general guidelines, and I promise I will just try to support and guide you as much as possible during it. And that was pretty much it. As I said, please don't hesitate. Contact me anytime for any questions you may have, or at the moment you can ask Patrick, which is right there with you, and Patrick and Sohel, and they will for sure answer all your questions. And well, as soon as I'm back from vacation next week, I will also be working with you. So thank you for listening, and ciao ciao.